You know, this season reminded me a lot of Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. It's the 6th installment, and it's really just there to set up a big war that happens in the next installment. The Walking Dead, Season 6. So this season of The Walking Dead continues and resolves the storyline with the Wolves gang, that mysterious group of homicidal nomads that pretty much just want to kill everyone they see. It also explores more of Rick's rise to ultimate leadership in the town of Alexandria, which is their new home now. Morgan and Carol have a little debate throughout the entire season. Morgan is of the mind of life is precious, therefore killing is wrong, whereas Carol says killing can be necessary, and she proves herself to be a big badass this season, up to a certain point, but we'll get to that in a bit. And all throughout this season, there are little hints here and there, little encounters with a group of people known as the Saviors. Every time they run into them, they say, "You belong to us now. Your land belongs to us. Your land belongs to Negan now." And they keep saying, "We're going to kill one of your people to send a message." They usually manage to weasel their way out of that just fine, but you know it's setting up for something bigger, something that comes at the end of the season. Alright, so that's my basic summary of Walking Dead Season 6 without really spoiling anything. Now I'm going to talk about things I like, things I dislike, and spoiler alert right here, because yeah, I'm going to talk about some plot details. So the first few episodes of the show I really liked. I thought they were suspenseful, I thought there was a lot going on, especially when the wolves attack Alexandria. That's probably one of the best episodes of the series, because it's entirely focused on this attack going on inside this town, and people are getting murdered left and right. It's bloody, it's violent. Carol proves herself to be like ultimate badass on the show, and she is great. The one downside is that I felt like this season the Wolves gang was very underhanded. They had an interesting setup at the end of the 6th season, and by underhanded, I mean that I felt like I didn't really get to know them that well. It's assumed that they killed most of them in that episode, but then they just kind of went away. They're like, alright, they happened, not much more going into that. Now, you could say the reason for this is because they're totally setting up for Negan, which his appearance comes at the end of the season finale. I'll get to that in a bit. But considering that, like, after the first 3 episodes, there's an episode which is about Morgan's origin story of his philosophy of not killing people, which is actually a really good episode, so I'll forgive that. But, like, a few of the episodes after that were so slow and boring. I just kind of smush them all together as one thing. I felt like they could have used that time more wisely to tell more about the wolves, to go more into that, flesh that story arc a bit more. They had the time. Just in that first half of the season, that's all. Carol starts out as this badass, which makes her debate with Morgan on the necessity of killing people a lot more interesting, because she's shown that she'll kill for people until like in the last 4 episodes of the season, I think, in which she starts developing this mentality of I can't kill for anybody, and therefore she's very hesitant on killing people, which is a little strange, and she acts all depressed about it. It kind of came out of nowhere, at least I saw it that way. However, Jeremy Johns has an interesting theory on why that may be. I'll put the link in the description about that. It's a really interesting theory. So remember when Glenn died, although it turned out he didn't die, he moved under the dumpster? Yeah, okay. I was a little ticked off by that. I didn't like the way that was handled. Not simply on the show. I think on the show it would have been considered fine, but my issue with it was what happened outside the show. Of course, after what looked like Glenn dying, Scott Gimple released a statement, and I don't know if it was like on Twitter or if it was like an interview with the magazine like EW or something like that, But he pretty much said that Stephen Yeun will make appearances in later Walking Dead episodes as either a past or present version of Glenn, which already sounds kind of like wishy-washy and cryptic enough to where, I'm not going to buy into the BS of what that means other than just say, all right, he's alive. Somehow he's alive. Plus, Talking Dead, from what I heard, didn't put his name in their death segment and all of that. This is where I want to go into a little conversation on, hyping up a show and how sometimes it cannot work as well for the fans. Because for me, that kind of ruined the experience of seeing what looked like Glenn dying on screen. Because once I kind of heard about that Scott Gimple said, oh, you'll see him again later on. We're just not going to be specific about it. That kind of thing. And then, of course, the existence of the Talking Dead show, which is why I normally do not watch Chris Hardwick's show. I have nothing against Chris Hardwick. I just don't like watching it because I feel like the conversation of talking about what happened on the show should be done amongst ourselves or in an entirely separate medium. No Screen Junkies got the right idea with their Knocking Dead show, in which they can be totally honest about it, whereas I don't think they can really criticize the show too much on Chris Hardwick's show. Sometimes I feel like silence is golden on this one. Take a page out of David Chase's book. David Chase, in case you don't know, created The Sopranos and ran The Sopranos throughout its entire 6-season run. David Chase was of the mentality of not having to explain anything about the show. To this day, he still has not revealed what happened in the series finale of The Sopranos. He's of the mentality of, it's right there, let the show speak for itself, I should not have to explain anything to you. Because what you see is what you get. That's it. I actually like that mentality, because that's how I feel like when I watch shows in reruns, I let the show speak for itself. I shouldn't need the producers or writers of the show to really tell me what to think, essentially. I shouldn't be told what to think about the show I'm watching. I should decide that on my own. So where it kind of irritates me when showrunners do these Q&As, when they give cryptic hints about, is this character going to survive next season? And the person goes, maybe not, who knows? I get why they do that. They want to hype up the show to make sure that there's people tuning in, but I feel it kind of ruins the experience. Jason Rothenberg is learning that lesson the hard way, and he's learning it bad right now on social media. Sometimes I kind of wish, if you just leave the show alone, if you let the show speak for itself, fans will react to the show properly. They'll react to the show as they're supposed to. Because when Glenn came back, when it was revealed that he survived, that didn't come off as a surprise to me. That came off as, well, of course he survived, duh. I totally saw that coming. I shouldn't have saw that coming. I should have just been left alone. I mean, granted, I could have just ignored it, but it's kind of hard to do when a lot of our society is based on the internet now. I should have just been left alone as a fan, as someone who watches the show, and just accepted Glenn dying. But I couldn't do that because, well, people are saying, well, Talking Dead didn't show his name. Or Scott Gimple said this really cryptic press release, which causes me to think more about it than maybe I really should have. This leads directly into my thoughts on the season finale of The Walking Dead. Now, the season finale of The Walking Dead introduced Jeffrey Dean Morgan as Negan. First of all, I think the casting is spot on. The moment Jeffrey Dean Morgan came out and he's basically saying the lines as Negan did in his first appearance in the comic book, I said, yep, that's Negan. That is Negan. Now here's the problem for me. I read ahead. I just finished reading Volume 25, which at the time of this recording is the latest graphic novel in the Walking Dead comic book series. So I am way ahead of the TV show at this point. I have an idea what's going to happen, albeit a few twists here and there, give or take. But I know what's going to happen next season, pretty much. And I knew that when Negan showed up, he was going to kill somebody. Someone in the main cast was going to die. in the comic books, that someone was Glenn. And that was really impactful. It was impactful, especially since they didn't tease a Glenn death before. It was also impactful because at the time of me reading it, that was the original source material, therefore I didn't have a precedent of thinking, who are they going to kill? Which, of course, because of people like me that said, oh yeah, when Negan shows up, someone's going to die, someone's going to get offed in the end of the finale, and I'll take responsibility for that. I was one of those people, and I shouldn't have said anything like that to my friends. I shouldn't have told them what happened in the books. But I did, and that became a subject of conversation. Okay, who is Negan going to kill? And of course, I'm assuming you've watched this, but the way it ends is that you don't know. It's done by a POV shot, and you just see Negan smashing the camera guy. A lot of people are making camera guy death jokes. But I see the fan reaction. A lot of people are saying this is one of the worst season finales they have ever seen. Which, first of all, I say, no, the season finale of Arrow for season 3 was one of the worst season finales you'll ever see. But all this was just a cliffhanger. Something left open to get fans talking, because now we're talking about, well, who did Negan kill? Who did he kill? And we're still having that debate. We're still talking about, oh, I think it was Glenn because it's Glenn in the comic book. So it's like, no, I think it was Abraham because it seems like Abraham's character arc is complete. It's definitely not Rick. It's definitely not Carl. They would never kill those characters. It's probably not Maggie because the pregnancy shit is too much. But that was like a typical TV cliffhanger. And I don't mean that condescendingly. I mean that as like, okay, this is something that TV shows do in general. We shouldn't be mad about this. We've seen this kind of thing before if we've watched television for a while. So for people to saying this is the worst season finale ever, I think the season finale did exactly what it was supposed to do. By getting us talking, getting us excited. I think if they actually did show us who Negan killed, the conversation wouldn't be as, fruitful. There'd be a lot of, oh, rest in peace, whoever got killed, and the only talk is going to be, oh, I can't wait till they do All Out War in season 7. But the conversation is more, it has a lot more life now. The conversation is, oh, who did Negan kill? Oh, shoot. I really hope it's not this character. I really like this character, that kind of thing. We're all stressing over it, and that's exactly what a season finale should do. For a drama like this, yes. Perfect. And if the show was just the show, if there was no comic books to look back on, I don't think the fan reaction would be this reactionary. I think the fan reaction would be, oh shit. Who died? Who died? Who died? Who died? And there wouldn't be such a negative reaction. But there is, and I think it's because of the hype. I feel like some of that hype could have been quelled. Maybe if they instead revealed, like when they announced that Jeffrey Dean Morgan was cast as Negan, they announced that he was going to appear in the season 6 finale. I think they should have kept that a secret. I think they should have said he will appear as a regular as Negan in season 7. And then when he appears in season 6, the season 6 finale, it would have been this huge shocker and we wouldn't have had time to, have that discussion of the comic books, at least not with such urgency, not with such immediacy. We would have been like, oh shoot, they're actually doing this. They're actually doing it this early into the show. This is earlier than we thought. Oh my gosh, we're getting teased about Negan. My overall point is that a lot of the fan reaction that comes to this show, as well as other TV shows, are not entirely based on just what you see in the show. They're also based on hype, on publicity, what certain cast members and producers say about things, what gets teased and what doesn't get teased. We are past the point in time in which TV shows can really speak for themselves. No, you also need to take into account what goes on behind the scenes, what the people behind the scenes are saying, which I feel is kind of sad. I feel that really takes away something from the television or movie experience as well. Overall, I felt season 6 was a good season of The Walking Dead. It definitely set up for the, let's just say, the All Out War storyline, which is going to be big on the show. There's something really big happening. I didn't feel like it was as balanced as season 5. That's just in my opinion. But there was a lot of good that happened in the show. Some bad, but mostly good. And I feel that most of the negative reaction that comes this way for the show, as well as other shows, like, it really opened my eyes on fan reaction and how fan reaction could be a little too much. Thanks for watching my review of The Walking Dead Season 6 / my rant on internet affecting TV. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.